I'm playing a show at Mulakai, and instead of preparing like a stable adult, I decided to make my entire stage outfit from scratch. This could go either very wrong or very right. Hey, I'm LushUs, and I'm your new favorite Berlin indie kid, if you want to box me in like that. For my release show on the 6th of March, I need to make a new outfit that fits the vibe of my new single perfectly. Luckily, my grandma taught me how to sew when I was like 8, and I'll be pulling all the creative stops today. So you can come along and watch me make a lot of technical mistakes and still be the coolest of them all. So, the vision for the outfit is layered, floaty, slightly medieval, soft draping, but a little bit structured, mysterious but effortless, and somehow very full of contrast. I've always loved Lord of the Rings, and for most people, the elves were probably the most noteworthy stylish outfits. But to me, I think my favorite fashion icon in Lord of the Rings is the sorcerer Saruman, so I'm kind of always inspired by his fashion. And then in contrast to that, there's the early 2010s cool girl energy I want to emulate. Think Alexa Chung. She looked like she just threw something on, or she still does, but it feels kind of calculated. It feels like detached but observant. And that's kind of how I approach music too, I think. I'm making a mini skirt out of this denim skirt that I have. The plan is to cut the length that I'm cutting off right now in half to have the length of the skirt in the end. Cut off the edge that's already sewn because I'm going to need it for something else later, and put these two halves together at the sides to make up 3 times the amount that I want around my waist, because in the end I don't want the skirt to go fully around the waist but only 3/4 of the way, and 3 times because I want to pleat it all the way. Now I have to measure and pin in my pleats. Mine are 4 centimeters in width. Now I'm ironing everything down so it stays in place while I sew it. And here I'm sewing down every pleat with a top stitch very close to the edge of the pleat. Now I have to measure and cut my waistband. I want mine to be 8 centimeters, so I cut it 20 centimeters, so double plus seam allowance. And then I have to iron it in half. Optimally, you should iron on some interfacing as well, but I didn't have any, so I just didn't do it. Now I'm pinning the bottom of my waistband to the top of my skirt, right sides together. In the video, it's wrong. I had to redo it. And then I have to sew it down, of course. Now all raw edges get folded in by like approximately 1 centimeter before the whole waistband gets folded in half and then pinned down on top of the raw edge that we just made with the skirt. At the sides, I'm also inserting half of the original seam from the old skirt that we cut off earlier as a tie. And then I'm top stitching around the whole waistband to give some structure and to hold everything in place. I also wanted to add some buckle closures. Here I'm just measuring everything to attach to it, finish the seams and pin everything in place. Then I'm sewing it down. To make it extra sturdy, you should sew like a little rectangle instead of a normal straight line. Lastly, I'll finish off the bottom seam with a zigzag stitch so it doesn't fray over time but still keeps that cut off jeans look. For this dress, I thrifted a pretty tight dress that I'm gonna shorten and put everything that I cut off the bottom into the side seams of the skirt to make it like a baby doll's silhouette. Here I'm just opening up the bottom and the side seams. Here I took off approximately 25 centimeters of the bottom. I orientated myself on the pattern of the fabric to make a straight cut, and then I finished the raw edge that I just created with a zigzag stitch. The parts that I just cut off have to be ironed so everything is nice and flat. Now I'm putting one part of the piece that I just cut off the bottom into the side seam that I've opened up to the waistband, and the same thing on the other side as well. And then I'll sew it down. Now I have to pleat the excess fabric that I just put in and pin it down. Now I have to iron over the bottom seam so I can stitch it in place with an invisible stitch. The cloak is probably the easiest project. All you need is a rectangle of fabric. It should be as wide as your arms when they're stretched out, and double the length of what you want it to be like on your body. And then you just fold it in half and make a hole in the middle for your head, and then clean that up, and that's it. Everything else is just decorations. For the headband, I also just cut out the shape that I wanted it to be twice, then sewed the bottom and the top edge together, right sides together, then flipped it inside out, put the ribbons in the sides, and then top stitched all around it again. That's it. What'd you think? Sorry, I didn't really catch that. What did you say? I can't really understand what you're saying. So you're just gonna have to come to my gig on the 6th of March at Mulakai and tell me in person. Thanks for watching and see you there.